Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all between. Fred, my brother, how you doing? I finally have my voice
Much
back
better now. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
after that
Glad
month
to hear it.
of flu. Man, that was nasty.
Good, good.
But
So you can get back to your other job as a phone sex guy. Eh?
pretty excited. You know what this is? This is a flying V. And one of the masters of the flying V is our guest today. And
Yes, he is.
pretty stoked. I've always called Diamond Head, like they're like one of the godfathers of rock. And let's just bring Brian Tatler on right now, and of course he's playing with Saxon as well, and I'm totally excited. So let's bring him on right away.
Hey,
Brian, how are you?
I'm
Hi,
well.
Brian.
How are you guys? Okay.
We are good.
Good.
We are good.
I've been cranking the new Saxon album, and we covered Roswell on a reaction video 2 weeks ago. I keep on playing that song over and over and over.
Okay, good to know. Glad you like it.
Oh, the whole album's great.
Great, good, thank you.
And I thought it was really smart when Saxon when they had to make the most recent lineup change. A lot of the legacy bands are bringing on young guns, 30-year-old guys who can play anything. They can play it, but they don't feel it. And you're one of the masters of metal, of course.
Okay.
And it was such a great fit. And then when I heard you guys, even better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad you liked that. Yeah. I mean, I was very aware that Paul's done so much for Saxon. He's been there since day one, and I'm stepping into his shoes. So I thought a lot of people could quite easily say, it's not as good as Paul. Bring back Paul and all that kind of thing. But the comments have been fantastic, and I felt very welcomed into the fold. And I suppose maybe people have just accepted. Okay, well, Paul, you can't do it forever, and
right.
He's probably reached the end of the road. Where he's decided, I don't want to tour anymore. I don't want to be in Saxon anymore. I want to, step down. I mean, 24 albums.
I can't believe the list of. I mean, between the two bands, holy cow.
Yeah, and writing all those songs, it's hard work.
And I saw it as a total move of respect.
Yeah. Yes. So it is as well. Yes. So it's great. I'm flattered to get offered the job. It's a legendary band, and we've done a lot of gigs with Saxon in the past 4 years. We share management, so we've probably done 40 gigs with Saxon, and I've got to know how they work, the operation, the setup, and how successful they are. So it was a no-brainer to just say yes, I'll do it. When I was offered the post back in March of last year.
And
so Brian, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, Brian, who actually approached you and said you want to take care of Paul's position here on tour and with the album?
Well, it was the manager, Adam Parsons, but I believe it was Biff's call. I mean, Biff runs Saxon, doesn't he? It's his band. He's the only original member now. And so apparently Biff wanted me to do the job. They wanted to see if I wanted to do it. And then I said yes immediately. And that was it. Yeah. So I just then began learning the material. And the first gig was in July last year, which was a big festival in Athens, opening for Deep Purple. So quite a big,
Yeah, no pressure.
I've been a fan of Purple since I was about 14. So just go on stage before Deep Purple and play for an hour and a bit with Saxon and learn all these songs and
then go have a little bit of dinner. Yeah, no
pressure.
Just a regular day. And Biff is sounding better than ever.
Yeah, it's amazing for his age. I mean, it's almost don't bother him, does it? He sounds as good as ever. He's a force of nature, that man is.
Yeah, and his lower end really just solidified in the past 5-7 years. Like he's, a lot of people as they get older, they lose certain parts of their voice, and
range. Yeah,
Yeah.
any high range can go quite easily. But now he's got such a great style, and he's so recognizably Biff, isn't he? You know, you only got to hear a couple of minutes and you think,
Yeah,
oh,
there's only one Biff.
there's nobody else quite like him, is there, vocally?
So Saxon and Diamond. So you started Diamond Head in 1976, and Saxon's been around since 1975.
Wow.
So Diamond Head is from West Midlands, and Saxon is from formed in Barnsley.
Yeah, in Yorkshire, that's right. So about 150 miles up the road. Yeah.
So were you aware of each other back then, or were you playing opposite?
Well, we were aware of each other once the new wave of British heavy metal broke in England in Sounds magazine. So all of a sudden, all these bands were being featured. You know, you had Maiden and Leopard and Angel Witch and Tigers of Pantone, and so we'd be listening to all these bands. You know, would buy Wheels of Steel and things like that, and you know, they're the competition. They'd go and see them live and check them out, and so they're the competition. As they came through Birmingham, I would go and see these bands, and you know, they probably saw Diamond Head at some point, and you know, we're rivals. We're all after record deals, and we're all after getting the band further up the ladder. But we all share a common love of rock and heavy metal, and we all grew up listening to the incredible bands of the 70s, like, you know, Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, etc. And just wanted to kind of do more of the same, really. You know, emulate, you know, get into that league of classic rock bands. And you know, we'd all been to see bands at places. Like for me, it would be Birmingham Odeon. And you'd just think, wow, it would be great to be in a band like that, wouldn't it? With all those lights and PA. And I want to do that for a living if possible.
Right. And I just heard that Ozzy wants, he's building a museum there in Birmingham.
Is that right? I haven't heard that.
Yeah, he's doing like the Ozzy Osbourne Museum, and he wants to do his last 2 shows next year there.
Right. I heard that bit about the 2 shows, but I didn't know anything about a museum. So it's a nice idea. In 2011, there was a museum called the Home of Metal in Birmingham, and Black Sabbath attended, and some of the Judas Priest guys and stuff. I went to that, but I didn't hear this latest. You're better informed than I am about that.
I just happened to watch the Osbournes podcast, and they were talking about it. So, you know. But yeah, you know, a lot of people give, you know, they have their opinions about Ozzy, but I mean, Ozzy's always been there. It's like he's always going to be there. But you know, I hope he gets his goodbye show that he wants to wrap it up properly for him. You know,
I suppose if he can get to play 2 more gigs in Birmingham, it'd be nice. But because that tour kept getting cancelled, didn't it, from one reason or another, which was a shame. I mean, COVID probably one of the reasons, but it's up to him, isn't it? If he can do it 2 more times, then let's bring it on.
And you guys are touring with Uriah Heep and Judas Priest?
Yes, that's coming up in March. So I'm super excited for that. They're massive gigs. They're all, you know, 10,000 seat venues. It's going to be a huge tour. We do. There's about 6 in the UK and Ireland, and then we go over to Europe, and there's more dates there. But it's a unique lineup with Priest, Saxon, and Uriah Heep. You know, it may never happen again. It's going to be spectacular.
And Halford's sounding amazing as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I am super psyched, Brian. I've got tickets. You're coming to a theater by me, May 19th, to the Arcada Theater in St. Charles. It's a venue that you're going to love to play. About 900 seats, but it's a place that keeps heavy metal alive in this area.
Wow. Oh,
and so I'll be there. You're back in your opening with, Uriah Heep's opening for you guys. I got
Okay.
tickets to Priest too, and I don't remember seeing you on that bill. I hope you're on that bill too when you come to Chicago.
No, I think the American tour is going to be Sabaton.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that
That's
sounds
correct.
right.
It's not Saxon, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I will make sure I come up and say hi to you on the 19th.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so as your career is going on, this startup band decides to cover some of your songs. Now, did you know about that in advance, or did you find out about it or during process or after it had already been
Now,
recorded?
of course, you're referring to
That little band
Metallica.
Metallica.
Yes. So I knew Lars before he formed Metallica because he came over in 1981, about July 81, and stayed with me when I was still living with my parents. But he stayed in my bedroom, and then he stayed at Sean's with his parents. So we knew about Lars, and then the next thing we know, he'd written a letter in '82 saying, "I've got a band, and it's called Metallica, and we rehearse." He told me, he said, "We rehearse 6 hours a day, 6 days a week." And I thought, bloody hell.
Right.
No, I don't record, I don't rehearse that much. I thought, these guys are serious. These mean business, don't they? So, time went on. Then you'd start seeing the name appear. It played the marquee in '84. Then he called me and said, "We need the lyrics to Am I Evil? Because we're going to record it and put it as a B-side to a single called Creeping Death." And I said, "Oh, okay, great." So we sent him the lyrics. But of course, at this point, they're still only on Music for Nations. So they're not the biggest band in the world by a long shot.
Sure.
And, but they sure get there, don't they? By hook or by crook, they get there. And I've watched their rise to the top with, amazement, astonishment.
I mean, that had to be totally cool because you're like Metallica's uncle.
Well, we're one of their influences, aren't we?
Yeah.
And Lars has never forgotten that. And they've covered Diamond Head 4 times. And I must have been to see them 26, 7 times over the years.
Right.
He always makes sure I can get a pass, when they come to the UK.
Yeah.
And I saw him at Sonosphere recently, and we probably had an hour to chat, which was quite rare. But it was fantastic to see all of them backstage and then watch the show. So that was amazing.
And little hats off to Lars for losing his father not too long ago. So
yes.
I mean, I know they were super close, so that had to be, and to be on the road when something like that. But here's what people don't understand when they say the show must go on.
Yeah.
There's so many people involved in the motor. I mean, the machine is big. You could be dying inside, but you got to make sure everyone's eating and everything else. So it could be a pleasant distraction at the same time, but it had to be tearing them apart inside.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know what he was going through, but I've lost close members, so I know it's tough. And I remember he lost his mum years ago, maybe late '90s or something. I saw him around that time as well. But it's not very nice.
Yeah, because Metallica's, but like Lars' parents, and Cliff's parents are part of Metallica's history. Like all the fans know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We've seen lots of pictures of Torben over the years, haven't we? And you could tell they were very close.
Yeah. And then having 4 songs and covered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm glad you wrote those songs, right?
Cool. What would I do without
mailbox money?
Yeah, right. I mean, without those songs, if we hadn't recorded those songs, released them, and made them available for somebody like Lars to come along and cover them. I mean, there's a lot of ifs along the way,
right?
But yeah, we had to get them down and get them out there, and that's been a lifeblood for myself and for Sean, the singer. Those royalties.
And I thought it was really cool that since they did songs off your first album, that you did No Remorse. You covered No Remorse. That I was cranking that out last night too, like 3 times in a row.
Made perfect sense. I didn't want to do anything off a later album like the Black Album or something. I thought too obvious.
Right.
Let's do something off Kill 'Em All. And I listened through to it and I thought the most Diamond Head DNA song for me would be No Remorse. So we had to go at it in rehearsal, and it did have a Diamond Head quality to it, and we all were able to play it fairly, it felt fairly comfortable. So that was the one. There was no point looking any further.
And then on one of the releases, didn't you find a 2-inch tape?
Yeah.
And then the sound quality on some of or wound up being bigger than your master to the 1/4 inch from the original.
No, I think we haven't got the 2-inch tape. That was still at the studio. I don't know exactly who owns that really. Maybe the whole band do. So it's at the studio anyway. But yes, we found a 1/4 inch and. Of kind of mixes that I'd never heard before, and I don't even remember anyone doing them. But they ended up with this guy called Pete Winkleman, who was involved with Diamond Head, and he gave them to me. So I made them available to Silver Lining for the Light Into the Nations remastered album as a sort of bonus, alternate mixes. And there's a couple of extra guitar bits, and there's a couple of bit vocal slightly different and things like that. So for the fans. But
fans love that. They eat it up. I mean, that's what they want. They've got the original versions already three times over. So it's cool when artists decide to to let that go a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know there's concerns here, but okay. So how did it feel this far in your career to learn? 2 hours set of Saxon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of a sudden you got to learn, 40 songs or 26.
It was a challenge, but I relished the challenge because I think it's good to have a challenge, not be stuck in a rut, to learn new material, to play with new players. I really enjoyed it. Every day I would work on new songs. I'd look on YouTube and Spotify and try and get them all down so that when we did start rehearsing, I'd have already done the homework. I'm not there going, I haven't learned that bit yet, or how's this bit go? And I wanted to be professional and do the work. And I went and stopped at Doug's house for overnight, and went over a lot of the detail with Doug, just to make sure, we're not playing unison where we should be playing harmony and things like that. And I did as much prep as possible, and pretty much every day I would do a bit of Saxon homework, if you like.
Yeah. So on that note, then you were the lead guitar for Diamond Head for all those years. But Diamond Head, by the way, is still together, and I understand you got an album in the works. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've had these songs for a long time, but COVID kind of scuppered any plans, and then we had a rehearsal. We recorded some of it, but we never got to the stage where we'd done any vocals, and we also never got to the stage where we said, okay, let's record the drums. It was always a case of we'd just record them as they were at that moment in time, and they still needed a bit of work. But we've got them if we want to revisit them, if we want to go back to them and say, right, we're going to do an album, we're going to do these songs and then take them forward.
Yeah, good. I hope that happens. So now being on stage, what I was getting to is you lead guitarist for Diamond Head for all these years. Now you're sharing the stage with Doug.
Yeah.
How different is that to be on stage kind of doing a dual guitar thing? And I mean, it's his songs, but you're contributing. How different is that for you to be up there doing a little dual guitar thing?
It's great. Doug is one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and he's such a great player. So it's really great to team up with him, and we get to do a trade, like his solo, then my solo, and then his solo, and things like that. In things like Denim and Leather, it kind of switches backwards and forwards, and it's great. We've got different styles, but we both work within the context of of Saxon, and I think it's a really good match. You know, we kind of even look similar in a way. We've both got, you know, we're about the same height. We've both got this sort of long hair, and you know, sort of similar build. But yeah, it really works. You know,
And you've
really
got
good.
great chemistry on stage too.
Yeah, it is. It's great. It's great. And we both, you know, we're all wireless on stage, so you've got nibs who can charge about the whole stage, and nobody gets in each other's way. So yeah, it's really good. I'm absolutely loving it, and the big stages a lot of the time. So I'm still getting used to that, to be able to fly around the stage with a wireless and in ears, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I wonder how many times you're gonna, hear from the audience. Do you know what you're seeing right now? Do you get what's happening right here?
It's great. I suppose for the fans to see, you know, they've probably seen Paul Quinn a lot of times, and then all of a sudden, Brian Tatler from Diamond Head's there. So that must be a little bit weird. But as long as I do the job, I think they'll. So far, so good. I've been accepted into the fold, and I've only seen very positive comments that it was a good choice. That they made a good choice.
Oh, for sure.
So
I'm sure some people. I'm sure some people are gonna. Maybe they don't know until they show up at the show, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, fuck yeah,
yeah."
That's probably, like, what a like. Are you kidding? Like,
that's
you get a better pedigree.
Happens. Yeah, I would imagine not everybody knows that.
Right.
That Paul's no longer in the band, and so yeah, you just check me out when you stand there with your arms folded.
Yeah.
Check me out. Is he any good? You know,
the classic metal first 15 minutes of every show.
And then hopefully after a while, I go, fair enough, fair play.
Have you guys thrown any Diamond Head songs into Saxon's set?
No. I think there's enough Saxon songs, isn't there?
There is, but it'd be so cool to see you guys do one or two. But
yeah, I think
I'd love to see how Biff handles that.
It's a question of what Saxon songs to leave out, isn't it? Rather than,
yeah, I mean, put it
on this something.
Yeah,
the album.
I mean, you never know. Maybe one day we might do something, but you know,
I'll be in the front row when I see in May yelling, "Am I evil?" That'll be me.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I have seen a couple of Diamond Head shirts at the gigs on the front row. You see, you know, there's one.
And it's great for audience too, because now people who maybe didn't go see Saxon and are huge Diamond Head fans are going to come out and check it out. You know. Yes,
I think so. There could be a crossover effect, you know, for Diamond Head that will pull in a few Saxon fans and vice versa. Yeah.
And I think you're in a unique place in the metal landscape because, you know, Europe knew you guys, and then the Metallica thing happened. And the longer you go on, the more fans you gain. Usually it plateaus, you know, when, 10 years out, and those are your fans for the rest of your, band career.
Yeah.
But you just get bigger and bigger, and, your mythology grows and grows as time goes on. I think that's fascinating.
It is. I mean, people respect the fact that Saxon's been going so long and been so consistent, making good album after good album and touring the world. So, I mean, also some bands disappeared, don't they? Like, there's no more Motorhead gigs, is there? There's no more Black Sabbath gigs. Some bands have gone now. Even Rush have gone, haven't they? So a band like Saxon, at least, one of the old guard, is still going, and I think people like that. I think,
Oh, totally.
Old school.
You got Priest out, Maiden's out, Saxon's out. I mean, like we were talking last week on the pocket, there's a lot of bands, for a huge, like a Metallica type size tour or a Maiden size type. That business cycle is 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of band like Paul McCartney and, there's a lot of bands that are in their last business cycle.
Absolutely.
And people are like, oh, they can come back. You can't come back and be Gene Simmons when you're 90. You just can't.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I mean, this tour will probably never happen again. This Priest, Saxon, and Uriah Heep. each band has got members in their 70s, and
Right.
so it's not going to last forever. So let's enjoy it while it's still there, and
Right.
celebrate it and make the most of it. It's going to be a special tour.
And what I like about it is the the older musicians are really showing the younger ones how it's look, man, this is how you do it 40 years in, 35 years in, you know.
It's a career, isn't it? It's a whole
Yeah.
career. It's your whole life. And
Yeah.
you know, I mean, years ago, bands would very often have a burst, you know, impetus, and then they'd go. There'd be the next fashion, the next fresh
Yeah.
face. But you know, bands like the Rolling Stones have proved you can go as long as you want to. If you know, as long as you want to do it, keep going, and the fans should stay with you.
Like never in a million
Yeah.
years would I think that Rob Halford at 73 could hit Victim of Change's notes, and you know, like what?
Yeah, you're right. You're
And
right.
he just gets better, you know, and like, you know, Biff's got the same thing. You know, there's a they have such a presence on stage,
Yeah.
such a gravitas, so to speak,
Yes.
you know, that you can't help but look at them when they perform.
I agree. I agree. It's a legendary thing, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
and it takes a long time to earn that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
status. But you know, Rob Halford and Biff Byford have definitely got that. You know,
Right.
the amount of work that those guys have put in
Oh, for sure.
to keep that flame alive is incredible.
You know, and I call Halford's I call his stagecraft the slow walk. And if anyone else would do that, it might look a little off.
Yeah.
But he's the metal god, you
He's
know.
fine with it. Yeah, it's great.
He's
With
just,
that big-
I mean, that
big
whole
long
band.
coat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I go to most of these shows, I usually do a meet and greet. And what you were saying earlier, all these bands are so appreciative of the fans, and they're just happy to talk to you and take some pictures and sign some autographs because they know that we're trying to keep these bands alive and keep them out there. And it's so great when I get to meet these guys, meet my heroes that I grew up going to concerts with, and it's so great. So that's what I love about the meet and greets. Everybody's just so appreciative of the fans.
Yeah. Without the fans, you know, no band can survive, can they?
Oh, not at all.
So,
You know, and we're talking about, that's another point. So another conversation we've been having in the long, over months is, with all these bands, like, Kiss is gone and like all these guys, no more Van Halen.
yeah.
There's a whole generation. I think the promoters got to be freaking out because once that business cycle ends, you don't have a bunch of Britney Spears. I mean, because you got to think of what's the next.
Yeah.
Who's going to fill the stadium? Like,
well, yeah,
they have to be freaking out because
well,
they didn't develop the acts enough.
There's more festivals than there ever were.
Oh, okay.
And yet there's probably less headline bands, and they're slowly decreasing.
Right.
You know, who can we get? You know, and once you've booked, say, a Metallica or something, you can't book them again next year. You need another band,
right?
And then another band, and then another band. And yeah, it must be really hard to pull these big acts for the it's hundreds of festivals, isn't there?
Yeah, and I was reading an article with Bruce Dickinson, and he was going on about this, that there's not the space. I mean, who are they going to get to fill the slots of the Eagles and Elton John's gone? Like all these major, and they're still going to be there, and they're there to make money, but they didn't invest.
I think Fleetwood Mac have probably finished, haven't they?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I don't think they're coming back.
So
no, Stevie Nicks is touring, but I don't think Fleetwood Mac is.
Yeah, not after the passing.
Yeah, I think that's probably it for them. I mean, who knows? But they've done enough, though. I mean, to be fair. But
absolutely.
Eagles are probably doing. They've done farewell tours before, but this is supposed to be a farewell tour now, isn't it? Because it is only Don Henley left now from the original lineup, isn't it?
Yeah. Joe's there, but he came on later, and I got actually go see
California, wasn't he, Joe?
Yeah. Steely Dan and
the
Eagles are in March.
There's only Donald Fagen now, isn't there?
And my audio professor was he was the engineer on 5 of the Eagles albums, including so he won 5 Grammys with the Eagles. So he recorded Hotel California, Eddie Michelle.
Wow. No slouch.
Studios, yeah. Yeah, not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was so cool to
Yes.
I saw Kiss about 6 times for their farewell tour. So every time I win, I go, that's it. They're never coming back again. And the next year they come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 5 times.
Yeah. They always suckered me in.
Yeah.
They always
Mama
suckered me
needs
in.
another house. Yeah.
Farewell tour.
But to be fair, no one can do what Kiss did. Only they can do what they did. There'll never be another one.
No.
And congratulations to them for doing it for 50 years on that scale. And they had major ups and downs.
Major, yeah. But that a great show.
Oh yeah,
he's a great singer. I've always liked Paul Stanley's voice. So
absolutely. Yeah. Like when people go, oh blah blah, I saw Kiss. I'm like, well, wait, did you have fun? They're like, well, yeah. Shut up.
That was one band that never disappointed. Never disappointed.
Yeah, And then it's funny, because then you hear some people complain after going and see some shows, and they're being from the younger generation. I'm like, oh, you know why you're mad? They're like, why? I'm like, they weren't lip syncing.
Yeah.
They weren't singing to a track. They were actually performing.
Yeah, that's it's in the title, isn't it? Live.
Yeah, exactly. I never understood. I can understand, like, let's say someone like Queensryche, and there's like, hospital sounds and paging Dr. Blair, paging Dr. Blair. I totally get that. Yeah. But when it gets into replacing instruments and vocals.
Yeah, that's right. Even lead vocals.
Yeah. How does that even happen?
Yeah.
I'd be too afraid of, missing a word, and then it's on the screen, and next thing you know, it's all over.
Off pitch, yeah, it's okay.
And we saw Kip Winger a couple years ago, and Kip still sounds great too. And he, at the end of his song, he looked at the crowd. He goes, "I'm so sorry." He goes, "I fucked up like 1,000,000 times on that song." And everybody in the audience is like, oh, "We didn't know. Who knows? You're just singing along with him. You don't know if he messed up or you messed up." But that's the beauty of live music, like you said.
We all make mistakes. There's no perfect gig where you play every note spot on. I've never done it.
Yeah, and that's what makes live music great.
Yeah, it's great. It's got energy. It's real. It's raw.
Yeah. Hey, what solo is he going to do tonight? You know what I mean? Like, is he going to switch up? Like he did in St. Louis 3 years ago at the da 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 da.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because fans are into that amount of detail,
Yeah.
And it's really
and how much fun is it for you, Brian, to get up there with a solo and just go, screw it, I'm gonna try something a little different. I'm gonna tweak it and change it up.
Well,
so it's got to be fun for you too.
I try and perfect my solos to the point where I experiment for years almost until I'm pretty much happy with it. But even then, some nights you might play something almost a mistake, but you think, oh, that was good. I'll do that again. And so the solo can evolve over time till it's as good as you can possibly get it, really. But yeah, it's never exactly the same. There's a Diamond Head fan in England called Mike Lace, and he said he's seen the band about 230 times or something. And I always think, why do you want to keep seeing Diamond Head? It's the same set, And he says, no, it's always different.
Right.
There you go.
I thought my, 16 times seeing Cheap Trick, I thought that was a big deal. But 250, holy cow.
Yeah, something like that. Mad. I can't get my head around it. I wouldn't go and watch it.
That's great. You need you need a couple thousand of those.
He's our super fan, and we all
right.
Love that.
So so the Flying V, the original one, you have at home. You don't bring that out.
It's in that back room there in its case. Yeah, it's too fragile to gig. The neck's broken 5 times. Right. Over the years, so it's too fragile. I don't bring it out now.
Do you record with it still, or
no? I tend to record with a Les Paul.
Okay.
But I've tried to use the V Live. I've got a couple of other Vs because it looks great and
totally.
it looks good on photographs. But I mainly go to a Les Paul when I'm writing or recording. It's just easy, isn't it? It's a solid piece of wood.
Yeah, you can sit down without having
yeah. or getting backache.
Right. Yeah, you got to take the Albert King stance. Yeah. Nice. So how many Flying V's do you have?
3. I've got the white one, the 79, a black one from 2016, and a red one from, I think, 2006, something like that. So just the 3.
Yeah, I saw I was just watching a clip yesterday, and it was Joe Bonamassa's guitar collection.
Oh, wow.
Holy crap, does that guy got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, amazing. I love Joe Bonamassa's playing. I think he's brilliant.
Oh, he's incredible. And I don't know why anyone gives him gruff. He's like one of the hardest working musicians out there. Every quarter, he's a different project. Boom, we're going out with this. Boom, boom, boom. Same people for 30 years.
Yeah, it's great. He's a real fantastic technique. I admire his technique immensely. I can't do what he does, but I'll try. I try and cop some of the alternate picking and stuff. A brilliant player.
Oh yeah, man. He's an amazing musician, and I think he's underrated. But, I don't know. But did you see when he played Albert Hall with Eric Clapton?
I watched that. I've seen probably 6 or 7 of his gigs on TV or on DVD or something.
To see the joy on his face as he's jamming with Clapton.
Yeah, because that's his hero, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. It was the coolest thing. And Eric too was like, geeking out.
Did you see the Rick Beato interview with Joe recently?
Yeah, Rick's amazing.
Yeah, it's great, that is. Joe comes over and does some of his stuff.
Yeah, he just did
a nice guy. And he comes across as he's a nerd, but he's also a nice guy.
Yeah, well, his podcast is called Geekville, so
Okay.
And he just dropped a clip where he's like, "Hey, here are my neighbors." He opens up his front door and he can hear a party going on.
Right.
So he grabs an amp, plugs in one of his Flying V's, and just cranks it, and he's a really cool guy, and the amount of albums he puts out. I mean, he plays with Glenn Hughes. He's playing. His band is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Almost as good as the Tom Petty band.
Yeah,
Tom Petty's band was amazing.
There's another guy who we'll never see again.
Right.
That was them.
Yeah, I remember. I never owned a Tom Petty CD, but I like Tom Petty.
Yeah, I've got some.
When he died, I cried.
Right.
I was like, wow, you know what I mean?
He wasn't that old, was he? About 66, something like that.
Yeah, accidents happen, but
shit happens.
Yeah, but I mean, he was such a fabric of America's background from the time he came out to, just amazing. And of course, beyond that, but
great songs.
Oh, absolutely. But so who are your major influences when you were coming up?
As a player or as a band? How do you mean? As a player?
Was it, my dad loved big band and jazz, so I had big band and jazz in the house, and that kind of started my love for music because it was,
Well, I had an older brother that was 6 years older than me, and he had a guitar, so he sort of got me interested. But he also used to take me to see bands, and had a good record collection. So I got into Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, and then Zeppelin. The first album I ever bought was Led Zeppelin 2. So I think that's a fantastic start. I was off running with that. And AC/DC and UFO and with Schenker, then Rush and Van Halen and all so many great bands from the 70s. So I would just absorb, little bits of each band. You know, I think it was Judas Priest. I'd take a riff like, oh, I like that bit, and I like this bit over here, and probably that combined with the 4 individual guys in Diamond Head was what made it original and gave us our own sound. You know, we took from quite a few different bands and then sort of mixed it with our own playing styles, and it made it original. It gave us something new. We didn't just sound like, say, you know, Black Sabbath or something. We sounded a bit different, you know, sort of fresh.
Yeah, it's all the magic. It's the mojo in the room. It's the you know, the back and forth, the give and take.
The 4 guys playing together.
So with all those answers you just kind of threw out there, is there any one band, past or present, that you would love to have been part of, played with?
Oh, well, Zeppelin, probably. Zeppelin are my favorite band, so I'd like to have been, you know, in Zeppelin. I mean, I couldn't do what Jimmy Page does, but it'd be nice to be maybe the rhythm guitarist or something. I had a dream once there was in Led Zeppelin, you know, one night only.
One night only. And the managers are back beating the guy so he gets their pay. What's going on? Yeah. So my introduction to heavy metal or hard rock, whatever, very similar to yours. My brother was also 6 years older than me. He's no longer with us, and we got Van Halen and Kiss in the same shipment from the Columbia Record House deal. Send in a penny, get 12 albums or whatever.
Right.
You know, so and it was always it was always, sneaking after he left the house to put his records on, and then every minute, every song was a chance closer to getting your ass kicked for but it was worth it,
Yeah. See, my older brother was into Captain Beefheart.
Oh,
so that's way out there. So thank God my friends all got me into Sabbath and UFO and Deep Purple when I was young too.
All the greats. The 70s was so fertile, wasn't it? Incredible.
So fortunate we were able to grow up and see these original band with original members.
And I'm glad now people are recording.
I saw Van Halen, with Dave Lee Roth.
Oh my God, yeah.
I saw Black Sabbath. I've seen Purple and Zeppelin, and
that was back in the day too, where those bands would tour. I saw Van Halen and Iron Maiden on the same bill.
Nice.
I saw UFO and Great White on the same bill. I saw so many great bands when they had 2 killer bands on the same bill. And unfortunately, although you got one coming out.
It's once you've seen bands like that from those classic bands, AC/DC with Bon Scott, I've never forgotten it. It's kind of it has such an impact, the energy coming off the stage, that I've never forgotten it. It's sort of stayed with me. It's a moment in time, isn't it?
Yeah. The band right now that's touring that is unbelievable energy on stage is the Scorpions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys act like they're 25 on stage.
I haven't seen them for years. Okay.
Yeah. And,
I thought you were going to play some new band, hot, new, exciting band.
Wings of Steel.
Yeah, we can give you a couple. Wings of Steel is one, yeah.
Oh, my God. They're
Wings of Steel.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I review albums for a website, and that came across my review desk, and I fell in love with it. And I told Vince, "You got to check this out."
And the guitar player
for an interview.
Yeah, and the guitar player Parker just posted a jam that he did earlier, and in the background you could see on the walls a Diamond Head shirt. And they're good friends. They're good friends of the show. They're amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, check them out. They're great. They're actually going to start touring. They're going to be out in Germany and stuff. So I don't know if they're going to be out that way at all in the fall. Maybe you can catch them there. You'd love them.
Yeah, I'll have a look on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're awesome.
Brian, we want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute honor to get to talk to you. And, I don't know how many times I've jammed Am I Evil? And yes, I am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Glad you like
and Brian, you see all those guitars behind me? They're all autographed. So in May at the Saxon show, I'll be bringing one in. Hopefully you can sign it for me.
Okay, I will do. If you can get,
I'll make sure. I'll do what I can. Yeah, I'll do what I can.
All right. I don't mind doing that. No problem.
So good luck on the tour. Good luck on the album. It sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time, Brian. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye, guys.
Take care.